I'm Robin Crane, and this is the Growing Your Financial Business the Woman's Way podcast. Listen, I was a financial advisor for over a decade, and I got so sick of the old archaic strategies that your grandpa used to get clients. What the industry teaches today is still so outdated and just doesn't work anymore. So I had to find a better way for myself, and then I got obsessed with sharing these how-tos with other women like me. The stuff I teach doesn't require giving up your life, your sanity, or your family time. I want women like you to have it easier than I had it, so you can thrive in the industry. I've now helped thousands of women grow their financial businesses to multiple six figures, some even seven figures per year. So on this podcast, you're going to get an inside look at how they did it so you can do it too. Let's dive into the show. Welcome, welcome. I am here with Grace Smith, and Grace is a Wall Street Journal bestselling author and founder of and owner of Grace, the world's #1 provider of hypnotherapy education, products, and services, including the Grace app. And I will tell you, I have had some personal experience that I will share, but with using the hypnosis that Grace does, it's been really incredible. And not for business growth, but today we're going to talk about how you could use it to grow your business. She surpassed the revenue and growth requirements to make the Inc. 5000 list of fastest growing companies in 2020 and is in an exciting leadership position within the rapidly growing multi-trillion-dollar health and wellness industries. And she's officially the 46th fastest growing company in Florida out of the Inc. 5000 in 2020. Okay, I'm almost there. There's so much good stuff. I have to tell you a few more things. Okay, this is cool. Her work has been featured in BBC News, The Atlantic, US News, World Report, Entrepreneur, Glamour, BuzzFeed, Bustle. Okay, a lot of these cool things. But even cooler, I think that you've been on Dr. Oz, and I did see that show. Okay, Dr. Oz, I think I pulled that up like early on when we first met. And one of her shows went viral. I mean, there's just so much here, but really awesome. Did I miss any huge things that keynote talks and all these things? Procter & Gamble, the works. Procter & Gamble. I mean, now we're talking industry. Exactly. So tell us, Grace, a little bit about you and how you do this amazing hypnosis stuff to help people with their businesses and with many other things besides businesses.
Definitely. And thank you so much for having me.
My pleasure.
So yeah, this is really fun for me because normally when I'm being interviewed, we're talking specifically and only about hypnosis, what it is, why it works, how it works. And I love that. And we're going to get into that. But I'm very rarely asked about my role as a founder, female entrepreneur, the fact that I own a rapidly growing business myself. So it's really fun that we're going to get to talk about something that is just as much a part of my life as hypnosis is, which is, business. And so how can hypnosis help? Well, hypnosis, all it is, forget what you've seen in Hollywood, forget what you've seen in the stage shows. And I can break down why Hollywood makes it look the way it does, why the stage shows do what they do, but none of it's real. All it really is meditation with a goal. And what I mean by that is it helps you directly access what is called the theta brainwave state. So right now, Robin and I are conversing at what's called the beta brainwave state, which is normal waking consciousness. We're just having a conversation. We are fully online. It's where we also experience stress, right? The conscious waking state is where we experience stress. And most people are more stressed than ever before, and stress is on the rise. And when we are stressed out, we are in our least adaptive state. We are in our least malleable state, which means we're in a position where we can take in no new information and create nothing better for ourselves. So when we go, I'm
horrible.
Yes, exactly.
The awakeness of our lives every day, day in and day out.
Exactly. So to put it another way, think about, for those of you who drive, which is probably just about everybody listening, when you first learned how to drive and you're at 10 and 2 and you're white knuckling it and you're trying to look in the rearview mirror and you're trying to change lanes and, your parent or the person who's grading your test is like telling you to press on the brake, it's energetically expensive to learn something new. It feels like that for your brain to learn something new. It is incredibly energetically expensive. And then a couple of weeks later, once you've been driving for a while, you can do it with one hand on the wheel while singing out loud to your favorite song. You're not even thinking about it. It has become rote. It has become automatic. Once something has become rote and automatic, it is no longer expensive for your brain to do it. So when we're in the stress state, when we're in fight, flight, freeze, survival mode, to create something new would require a tremendous amount of energy. So for example, to quit smoking or stop eating chocolate or stop snapping at your kids when you're exhausted would be very energetically expensive to do if you're used to doing the opposite. And so what hypnosis does is it takes us from the beta brainwave state down into theta, which is a deep meditative state. but it's not sleep. We're not offline. We're not unconscious like we are in sleep. We are online. We are conscious like we are in meditation. If the fire alarm went off, you'd open your eyes and exit the building. You know where you are and you know what's happening. But because you're so deeply relaxed, you have the surplus energy required to create new neurological links in your brain 100 times faster. And so whether you are rewiring how you feel at work when you have to present to the board, or whether you're overcoming your fear of flying, you do so from the theta brainwave state to do it effectively, efficiently, in a non-invasive and incredibly empowering way. So when I found out that that existed, I made it my life's work to make it mainstream.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's so funny that you're explaining it this way. I mean, not hilarious funny, but interesting, because I've used hypnosis, obviously your hypnosis, to get incredible results, and also guided meditation, which, you know, when you say theta state, right, there's a lot of meditations. Like I listen to Kelly Howell sometimes, and she's like, you know, it's okay if you fall asleep. Maybe you don't believe that, but I don't know. Some of the stuff is like, it's okay if you fall asleep, because the brain waves are going to, you know, kind of do their work behind the scenes. And when I first started meditating years ago, when I was actually trying to get pregnant for the first time, when we did IVF after 5 years of trying to get pregnant, and then I started to use this meditation, and I was just listening like every night. And to the sleep, I called it sleepitating, because I don't know why that's not a coined term. It's not, right? It should be. So you might want to steal the trademark for that. Yeah, okay, I shouldn't broadcast this yet. But yeah, so I'd sleepitate. So I'd just go to sleep and I listened to this like all night, going through my brain, either about, basically it was just this, I forget what it's called. I'll think of it. But anyway, this mindfulness kind of type of meditation. And it really, really helped me a lot. Like that didn't really help me get pregnant, but it helped me just not stress about things. And then, you know, also helped me fall asleep. So I loved sleepitating because I'd committed to meditating every day. And if I had, like, the only way I can get myself to do anything is if I have a consequence to not do it. And it sounds weird for a motivated person, but I'm like, okay, I'm not doing the thing I need to do. And I needed to take care of myself. This was actually, I don't know if you know this story. I'll tell you this quick story, actually, because I don't even know if you know this story, Grace. You might. But when I was going through IVF, and this was, we went through IVF, which you probably know, in 2015. And then in 2000, like for years, it didn't work. And so we waited. And then we went through again in 2017. And the day before my retrieval, do you know this story? I don't think you even know this story. No. The day before my retrieval, after doing, you know, multiple rounds of trying to get the eggs ready, you know, which is like, you know, finally they're at a point where you can extract the eggs. And I was talking to someone on my team, and I was walking down the stairs holding my phone and looking at something, actually right after I spoke to her, and I was wearing socks, and I fell down the stairs. It was like, and I hit my head on the back of the stairs and literally cracked my head open. And literally people say literally all the time, but it actually did break open, blood dripping down my face and onto the floor. And I'm like shaking. My husband runs over. Thank God he was in the house. And as blood's dripping down, he's like, just apply pressure, you know, put your hands behind your head. And I'm holding my hands behind my head. And I'm like, honey, like, no, like the retrieval's tomorrow. We can't miss this. Like, I can't do this. And he was like, it's going to be fine. It's okay. It's going to be fine. You're going to be fine. And I was so scared I wasn't going to be able to do the retrieval. And it was this whole thing. I usually, you know, when I tell this story, I'm like bawling by the time, but I'm kind of just giving the fast version. But it was so scary. And eventually that night we're about to go to bed, and we'd called his mom, and his mom's a nurse, and she, you know, saw it with the photo or something. And she's like, oh, heads bleed a lot. It's probably fine. And then later he took another picture and sent it to her like 11 o'clock, right when we went to bed. We went to sleep. 2 minutes later, he turns on light, goes, we have to go to the hospital and get stitches. My mom said it's actually looking worse. So then I went to the hospital, got stitches and staples and all these things. Then luckily I never lost consciousness. And so the next morning I was able to do the retrieval, and then, you know, found out like whatever it was. But by the time we did the transfer and all that, probably a couple months later, that we were pregnant, and we did have Mav. So that was amazing. But in that interim, actually, my clients came up to me, and they were like, my client said to me after I fell down the stairs, I kept going, like, work hard. You know, it's like I didn't learn my lesson because I survived it. Right. And so I was like, oh, I'm going to be okay. And I kept working hard. And even my clients came up to me and they're like, Robin, you need self-care. Like, you need to take care of yourself. You need to slow down. I think this was before the transfer, like before we put the the eggs and the sperm back in my body kind of thing. And so I promised them, I said, okay, if I don't, I will meditate at least 3 times a week. That at least I know will calm me down, and if I don't, and then they said to me, they said, well, Robin, if you don't, you owe us $5,000 each. And I was like, what? They were taking my own advice. Cause like, if I don't, I have to have a consequence. Otherwise I won't do it. So they learned that from me and they used it against me. And I'm like, fine, because I know I will do it. So that's how I got into sleepitating, because I was like, okay, I have to meditate, because if I don't, I owe them each $5,000 and I don't really want to pay that. And so I started meditating, sleepitating every night. And then I just did it for like months and months and months, found out I was pregnant, and then kept going. I think I did it for over a year, like every single night, listening to this meditation again and again and again. And then I would like one of the things in the meditation, she's like, these thoughts will become your own, and then I'd like be thinking something and I'm like, those are totally the thoughts from that meditation. Like that's not my own now. Like I know I am, like at the end, it's like, I am God. And I'm like, I am God. I'm a piece of God. Like I'm a part of God. And before you know, I'm jumping off of rooftops and flying. No, it wasn't that crazy, but it was really, really helpful for me. And then, obviously when we met, we had that other challenge, but I'll pause for a second. But I think the nice thing that I like about hypnosis is that it's easy, because everyone who tries meditation at first has trouble with it. This whole like quieting your mind seems really, really difficult. And I still, after meditating for quite some time and doing a lot, the hypnosis that you've given me and things like that, I never got to a point where I can really quiet my mind.
Yeah.
So it sounds like with hypnosis, a big distinction there is that you don't really have to, you kind of let the work do it for you. Is that accurate?
Absolutely. Yeah. And so when you go from theta into delta, delta is sleep. And obviously our subconscious minds are alive and well when we're sleeping. That's what dreams are. And so you're absolutely right in that you can get the inputs, whether you're in theta or whether you're in delta, which is sleep, but in a hypnotherapy session where you're working with a private hypnotherapist, like, one of the ones on our team, we offer hundreds of sessions every single week globally over Zoom. If you're in delta, if you're asleep, you're not going to be giving feedback. Right. The other downside too, when you're in sleep, is you're not going to consciously remember what's being said. So even if you're listening to our app, most people like to listen to it from theta so they know what it's saying. And then once they know what it's saying and they love it and they're like, oh, this is the best ever, I definitely want this in my subconscious, then absolutely listen to it, fall asleep. So there's no downside to listening to it in sleep other than you can't participate and you won't remember it.
Right. So yeah. And just to share before we go into like how we can use this for business growth, so we don't leave them hanging. But when I met Grace, we were at a mastermind together. We were both wearing a jumpsuit, which was like, oh, cute. You're cute. I'm cute. We're cute together. She's cuter, but you get the gist. And I mean, everybody has their opinion. So, but we just connected, and then we had one kid around the same time. My son who's 4. It's your Patrick's son 4. As well, right? Patrick's also 4. And then we at that time, like we decided when we just met, like we decided we wanted to get pregnant again. Me and my husband, not me and Grace. And then, we were talking about it and you're like, oh, well, we have this hypnosis. I'm like, awesome, because I'm already into that anyway. And I'll do anything I can to try to ideally not go through IVF again. And also to increase the chances, because now I'm, 2 years older than I was when I went through IVF, and the chances were pretty low at that stage. And we were lucky enough and blessed enough to get Maverick. And so I started listening to your meditation every single night. I also did acupuncture, also was, working on my diet, also was going to the chiropractor. So it was definitely a combination. But we had such a miracle. I mean, it was only, I think, within 2 months that we got pregnant naturally. And that was such a blessing. And so, and then you also had a baby, like right around the same time. Is it your daughter now? She's almost 2 or she's 2?
Yeah. Aurora is like a little bit over 1.5 years.
Okay. So our daughter's turning 2 on Saturday. So we're about, we have about the same, but it really is miraculous. It really is incredible what you're doing. And I love it. And I always want to see, well, how, if I can do that in one way, like with your help, then how can we use that for business growth, and not just business growth for the sake of growing, but business growth for the sake of, transformation and making a bigger impact. And I know one of the things like that also I think is aligned with the law of attraction that I remember specifically in those hypnosis different tracks that I was listening to for the fertility stuff was that you really were talking about not fighting it, and like, it's okay if you have to go through IVF, and it's okay if this comes up. And this is not even saying that you're not going to have to go through it, but there was this real acceptance and this lack of resistance towards it. And I really feel like that's one of the main reasons we got pregnant naturally is like, I went to the IVF doctor, like they told me my chances were low. And I was like, you know what, we're going to do it anyway, if we need to. But I also at the same time was really trying to manifest getting pregnant. And it was just, oh my God, when I found out I was pregnant, naturally, oh my God, dropped down to my knees and was like in so much or gratitude. So incredible things you're doing. So how can we use this type of tool, let's say, for business growth and creating the life that we want?
Absolutely. So in the same way that it's really beneficial and helpful for something like fertility, and everybody's journey is different, but a big part for a lot of women who want to get pregnant and are having difficulty with it is the fear of not getting pregnant perpetuates the inability to get pregnant, right? Same thing with insomnia. The fear of not being able to sleep perpetuates the inability to sleep. And that's not 100% of the story, and that's not what happens every time, but that is very, very prevalent. And so one of the things that limits our ability to grow in the business world is limiting beliefs about our potential, limiting beliefs about how we show up in the workplace, limiting beliefs around money are huge. And then just overall lack of confidence. In general, we're speaking primarily to women in your audience, right?
Yeah, all women. Mm-hmm.
So all women, right? We are trained to be.
You are a dude right now. I mean, they can listen, but just don't show me your face.
Yeah. We are trained to be insecure from the time that we're little girls. Whereas boys are, and again, huge, big generalities, and our generation is, I definitely think, making a concerted effort to change things. But in general, back in the day, I mean, my brother was handed a football and said, go outside and, run into people and scream and yell and shout and be ladylike is what I was told, sit down, wear your dress, be ladylike, be quiet, don't be so loud, don't be so loud, don't be so loud. And my brother ends up being this, emotional artist. And here I am, building this huge, big business. And all of these things live in our subconscious. And we can only access the subconscious directly by getting into theta. You can't access the subconscious through beta. So, I know that sounds so broad, and it sounds like, how can one thing that helps with fertility help with overcoming limiting money beliefs? But it's not so much about the topic as it is about the mechanism, right? The mechanism is you access your subconscious, and your subconscious is what houses all of your beliefs about yourself and your place in the world, all of your emotional responses to the world around you. So whether you respond with stress or calm or peace or laughter or anger, that's all in your subconscious, right? And all of your habits are stored in your subconscious. So as long as you can access your subconscious, you can impact any of those things. And that's what hypnosis does, is it gets you into theta without you needing to do it yourself. And the difference, because this is a question that comes up a lot, people are like, well, I've listened to meditation recordings and I've listened to hypnosis recordings, and it seems like there's a lot of similarities. What's the difference? And that's why I call it meditation with a goal. Even though there are meditation recordings that seem goal-oriented, a hypnotherapist is trained and certified to interact with your subconscious in an expert manner. We know how your subconscious was formed. We know how to weed out what's not helpful. We know how to upgrade what is, and we know what specific language to use. I'll give a very basic example. The subconscious doesn't register negation. It doesn't hear no or not. So if somebody who is really sweet and really loving and has the best intentions wants to throw a free meditation recording up on YouTube, and it says, you will never eat cookies again. When you're listening to that from the theta state, your subconscious hears, you will eat cookies again. So did that make your life worse? No. But if you're not seeing results, that's why. And so we hear all the time people who are, and this isn't to say that those apps aren't wonderful, they're wonderful, but people who go, I've been listening to Calm every single day of my life for 3 years. I've been listening to Headspace. I've been listening to Insight Timer. And then they test our app, the hypnosis app, and they all switch. And they're just like, I'm seeing results way faster. That I felt better listening to those apps, but with your app, my life is changing. I am seeing results. And so that's the difference between meditation, which is awesome, and hypnosis, which is very targeted about results.
Is that like NLP type techniques in there, or is it just a totally different type of thing with hypnosis?
Yeah, so NLP is neuro-linguistic programming, and we definitely get a foundational understanding of how to use language when you speak to the subconscious. But hypnotherapy and NLP, they're different modalities.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yep, and you don't necessarily need NLP for hypnosis to be effective. Yeah, so I created my own methodology called the Grace method, and it's what all of our hypnotherapists are trained in. And that's what we do. And we just do it because it gets results, that people feel better. They overcome stuff that they don't need to suffer with anymore.
I'm motivated to re-up this and start again because I've kind of lost it. And it's so silly because it's so easy. You have to listen, and like, if you're going to get one of your coaches, I mean, you got to show up to a coaching call and get hypnosis. Like, it sounds like there's a lot of things in life to grow your business or in business and in life, that are difficult, and things like I'm constantly telling my clients, you need to stretch outside your comfort zone. Like, if you're not willing to stretch outside your comfort zone, you're not going to get what you want. And it's hard. It's really hard for them because I'm asking them to do things that are scary, that are uncomfortable, that are, they fear, like, they have all these limiting beliefs about it and all this stuff. And it's like, if you want it enough kind of thing, it's like this motivational thing, like you'll do it because then you'll get it. But I'm like, man, we just got to hypnotize all my clients, because there's some that do extremely well very fast because they're maybe not as scared, or they're more willing to step outside their comfort zone. There's some it takes a little bit longer because, or they drop off the face of the earth because they're so scared they stop showing up, and it's like, if I can just get them to show up and do what I tell them to do, they'll get results. But then some people start to freak out. So maybe I should just require the hypnosis. So
it only works if you want the result. It's not mind control. So those people who are going to disappear, they'll still disappear.
No, but they do though. That's the thing. It's like they want the result and they're committed to getting the result. Like, I do think they do, but it's those limiting beliefs. It's the unconscious mind that's like tricking us, right? That's holding us back from getting what we want. So I actually do feel like that would be super helpful.
So if you think about, real quick, an iceberg, the Freudian visualization of the conscious mind versus the subconscious mind is an iceberg. Our conscious mind is 10%, the tiny bit we see above the waterline. The subconscious is the 90% below the waterline, the thing that sank the Titanic, right? So our willpower is part of the conscious mind. So even if our willpower is 100% maxed out, it loses every single time to the subconscious without fail. So you're absolutely right. If somebody starts the program, but they've got subconscious limiting beliefs that will eventually cause self-sabotage and take them out of the program. But if they really want the result and they're able to nip that in the bud early enough on, the completion rates will skyrocket.
Oh my gosh. Okay. This is going to be a new part of my program. Seriously. Like,
a lot of people hire us. They white label our hypnotherapists to be a part of their coaching program for this exact.
We should talk about that. So, but before we do, we can do that offline, but not offline in the theta state, but offline or not offline in the
theta. Still online.
It's delta. No, I get it. I was just trying to be quick and witty. It serves me right. So going back to your story, like, did you actually, like, now being in the top 5,000, Inc. 5,000 or whatever, Fortune 5,000, that's what it is. Like, did you get there by hypnotizing yourself? Like, is it that like you can pinpoint like that you really consciously went into this, that I'm going to, have this as my kind of everyday? I'm sure you do it. Obviously, this is what you do. This is how you live. But how did you use this yourself to get to that point? And did you have challenges, or what challenges did you have along the way where you can really say, well, I almost lost it, or I was going the right direction, but then I got, sunk down, but then I got back into hypnosis, or, you know what I mean? Like, that really made a difference. Can you pinpoint those moments?
Yep. So real brief timeline. I used it to quit smoking when I was 24. Couldn't believe how powerful it was. Couldn't believe how good it felt. Couldn't believe it was nothing like what Hollywood and stage shows depicted. So immediately said, this seems like a human rights issue. Why does anybody have lung cancer? Why does anybody have emphysema? And the wheels started turning. I then used it to overcome lifelong debilitating fear of public speaking. That took 10 sessions. I quit smoking in one. Overcame the fear of public speaking.
You getting hypnotized or getting hypnosis? I don't even like to say hypnotized, because like you said, I don't even think of hypnosis anymore as like the TV version, because I've done it. But when I think hypnotized, then I think of the, look at my watch, you are getting sleepy, right? Okay, that's what I wanted to know.
These are the two times I was a client. And when they both worked, then I got a certification because I wanted to understand the subconscious. So fast forward to being CEO and founder of the number one hypnotherapy business in the world. What did I have to do to get there? So I am naturally very, very driven. I'm naturally very, very competitive. I'm naturally an entrepreneur. I used to create lanyards when I was like 8. They teach you that at camp, and park at the top of my staircase with my lanyard store, and no one in my house could get past me without buying stuff. Like I was a saleswoman the moment I was born. And so the actual most difficult thing about building this business was because people hear my voice on the app and they watch me teach hypnotherapy. And in those places, my voice is the sound of their feeling better, right? Like their stress and anxiety are melting away because of my voice, not me as a person, this recording, right?
Right.
And so when people come to work at the company, they expect a saint. They expect a docile, calm, completely relaxed person who's going to say, how are you feeling today? And, don't worry about getting that done. And should we all just stop and do 3 hours of yoga instead of where are the deliverables? And I mean, that makes sense, right? Hypnosis is misunderstood. For us to build a business that we have completely bootstrapped with no outside investment whatsoever is against all odds. It takes a lot to do that. So
not just hypnosis.
Yeah, but I had to use hypnosis to not think I was the world's worst human, because a lot of the first people we hired reflected that back to me because they expected Mother Teresa and they got, whatever I am, which is not that. I care about people and I want people to stop suffering needlessly, and I want to make hypnosis mainstream, but you don't make hypnosis mainstream unless you reach millions of people, and you don't reach millions of people unless you have a phenomenally successive and aggressive business plan, which is what I expect of everybody and myself. So I had to do a lot of hypnosis to be like, I'm still a good person, even though I'm me, even though I'm not the sweet, I'm sweet. I just am tough, So I had to do a lot of hypnosis around that. And even though I have this personality, I am also incredibly sensitive to criticism on, mean comments online. So I'm, for anybody who's a little bit woo listening, this might put it into perspective. I'm a Pisces sun with a Leo moon and a Leo rising. So I'm like, hand me the microphone. I'm the boss, but don't hurt my feelings. So I had to do a lot of hypnosis to overcome fear of being seen and all the mean comments that can happen on social media, not just from regular mean stuff, but also because people will be like, but hypnosis is the devil. And I'm like, oh, you got me. I wake up all day, every day to serve Satan. Like,
hey, we're just trying to get to your subconscious so we can bring out hell on earth, bring hell on earth.
Exactly.
I definitely can relate to that a lot. I don't think anyone sees me as Mother Teresa, so I don't have that problem. But because I am who I am, no matter where I am, kind of thing. But at the same time, like when I'm on, like if I'm on stage, if I'm coaching, it's like yesterday, we just had a 4-day event actually here in Tampa. And I mean, it was here, we're recording this on a Wednesday and it ended on Sunday afternoon, and I haven't rested, and here at Monday and Tuesday, my kids, I have young kids like you have young kids. And it's just like, life doesn't stop for you to rest, and I know I need to take that time on my own. Another plug for self-care. But yesterday I had a call with the women who were at my 4-day event, because it just so happened, like we have our call like Tuesdays, the Tuesday after the event. And I got on and I was like, ladies, just to be real with you, I'm a little tired. I'm not sure, like, if I don't get everything like right on the mark, like forgive me kind of thing. And then the second, like I started going, it was like energy, burst of energy. Completely on, totally got, like giving them exactly what to do. And like, I was like, oh, it came back. Cool. But it's like the way I was feeling was very down, and then it just came back, because that's where I come alive. I come alive on stage. I come alive. And I almost feel like I'm louder on this podcast when we first started, because I came alive, because we hit record. And it's not to perform, but I am a performer, but it's that this is where I thrive. Right. And so, I tell some people who come on my team, like, I also get grumpy, and like, I'm gonna expect a lot out of you, because same, like I'm very loving, I'm very accepting, but I also hold not just my team, but my clients to a very high standard, and so I get that. And then my COO, who gets, talks to me every day, sees the good and the bad and all that stuff. It's like, sometimes I'm just negative, and I'm like, oh, this is embarrassing, because I don't I tell my clients, don't be like that. Focus on, what you want and what you don't want. And then we all go through those patterns of like being a human and focusing on the crap and the things. And you sometimes just want to complain, it's like, we're still human. But the great thing about, I think, what we do is that we have to kind of rise above all that in order to serve others. And that's what holds me to a higher standard too, because it's not that I'm faking it when the camera comes on. It's just that I'm not thinking about me and my shit. I'm thinking about who's listening and what they need to hear. And so it's like that focus is someone else.
Totally. Yeah. And I mean, I remind people all the time, I love hypnosis because I desperately needed it. I was not born some enlightened guru who's sharing this tool with the world from my enlightened place on top of a cloud. I was a very messed up individual with a lot of challenges, and hypnosis helped me through them. And then I figured it's a travesty that people don't understand what this is and that they can do it themselves. And so I made it my mission to do that. So I would say that's really difficult. But in general, for women, especially who work in financial services, a big thing that happens at the subconscious level for many people, not everybody, but like a huge number, is they were raised to hate rich people. Their parents rolled their eyes. It's like if somebody cuts you off in traffic and they're a beat up Ford, you're annoyed that they cut you off. But if a Corvette cuts you off, you're real mad, right? And so just little subtle things like that. And if you hate someone or something, or you think that billionaires are evil because they inherently have too much and therefore they're causing suffering in the world, it's not that that's necessarily inaccurate, right? I mean, everybody's able to have their own worldview, and that's not what I'm here to discuss. But if you hate people who have money, your subconscious will stop you from making more money, because your subconscious will not let you become someone you hate.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that's separate from all the self-loathing we have to unpack and heal at a subconscious level. But if you are like, I hate people who wear pink, I hate them, they're evil, I hate them, your subconscious won't let you go out and create a wardrobe full of pink. It's the same thing with money. And so that tends to be something that's very common with women who want to excel in the workplace, whether they're entrepreneurs or whether they're an employee at a corporation and they want to work their way up. If they intrinsically have a subconscious belief that rich people are bad, they're going to sabotage their ability to increase their income. And that's a great place to start with hypnosis, reframing those beliefs.
That's awesome. And it can be super subtle. Like I know sometimes I ask people how much money they want to make. And they're like, well, right now, like sometimes they're dumbing it down because they're like, I want to make enough. So I have all of these things that I need, which could include first class, flying first class, which like if I got to that level, but I don't really need much more than that. Like I just want to be able to pay and I just want to be comfortable. And they start dumbing it down. Like God forbid I get more than I need. And usually it's not including first class, but like more than I need, because then I'm going to be one of these rich people who are greedy and all the negative things that go with it. Yeah. So I see that for sure. A lot of the clients I have are completely delusional Dans, as I call them. That's one of my money types. And like, they just want like to go, they made 20 grand last year and want to make 250 this year. And it's going to be easy. They're, what are you going to do differently? Hope and pray. I don't know. But a lot of them too are just like, okay, I just want to be comfortable, like different types of money types. Well, before we head off, like, is there anything else you want to add? And then we'll tell them how to find you and get your app and all that stuff.
Definitely. Yeah. So whatever it is that you have challenges with that you have not been able to tackle on your own, it likely is because it's got a subconscious root, right? If you could have handled it with your conscious mind and some willpower, you would have done it already. So if it's got a subconscious root, make a list for yourself of all the things that are bothering you, personal, professional, health and wellness wise, all the things. And then put from 1 to 10. Well, 0 would be nothing. So doesn't necessarily need to be on your list, right? 10 being it's causing you acute pain and suffering every single day of your waking life. So, someone might say if they're binge eating, it's a 10, right? And you're going to give every single one of these things a number, a numeric value, sort by the highest number down. And that's what you do with hypnosis. So everybody goes, where to start? I've got 100,000 problems with the subconscious. Where do I start? You start with the things that are causing you the greatest amount of acute pain and suffering. Because remember, hypnosis is not mind control, right? And I always say if hypnosis were mind control, people would just bring me their spouse and a checklist and I'd have more money than Elon Musk, right? I can't even make someone pick their socks up off the floor if they don't want to. You have to want the result. So if 0 is you don't want it at all, 10 is you want it more than anything, hypnosis becomes effective at 7. So that's why starting with the things that are causing the most amount of pain and working your way down is the most effective way to get the most out of hypnosis. And the great thing is, by the time you've knocked out, the first 6 things on your list, the bottom 6 tend to leave with it because they have subconscious ties that we're not aware of, right? So just a simple example, when your stress level goes down, insomnia sometimes and oftentimes alleviates itself before you even get to working on it, because it was the stress that was, right, causing the insomnia.
And I wish there were like 30 minutes for you to do hypnosis on me right now, and we can show it. But it's interesting because you're talking, it's typical. We want to get rid of the thing that causes pain first because we'll do more to avoid pain than to get what we want. But when I'm thinking about that, I'm like, it's hard for me to find it. I'm like, what is really painful for me right now? Because I'm kind of an opportunist, I'm like thinking of all the things I want. And I'm like, okay, I know what I want. I know, it's kind of in that mindset of growing and all that and helping people and all this stuff. But I'm like, what's actually not getting there could cause me a little bit of pain, but it's not super painful. Right. And so
yeah.
That's even
there are a lot of people in the world who are going through a tremendous amount of acute pain and suffering. And so then that's easy. But for those of us who've been doing a lot of personal development for a long time, it might not sound so dramatic, but it could be something along the lines of, I know that instead of making 10 sales calls a day, I could be making 100. And it's only fear and procrastination and making up lame excuses that are keeping me from just plowing forward at Mach speed. I absolutely could be the number 1 person on my team. There's no reason for me not to be. And when you actually start to allow your thoughts to go there, you're like, well, maybe that's out of 4. And then you're like, no, I really could be number 1. Why am I not number 1? It's like, maybe this is a 6, maybe this is an 8, And so you just start thinking about what you don't have that is possible is another way of getting there. And really feeling into it. And as long as it's a 7 or above, hypnosis will be effective in helping you get there.
I love this stuff. I am totally gonna hypnotize myself like all day and all night. No, it's really good. And I will just say again, my favorite thing about it is like, it's effortless. Like it's pretty much effortless. Like if you have the desire, you want to avoid the pain. It's like, cool. How, if I wanted to get rid of some problem right now, like a lot of people want to lose weight. And I even, still I'm carrying a little bit of extra weight we can call it the baby, but I think it's more like bread, but baby bread, miniature. No, I don't eat a lot of bread, but I'm eating more than I need to, but like that extra. So is it 15 minutes a day? Is it half an hour a day? Is it, like how often? And I got to stop asking questions so this doesn't go so long, but I'm just so interested in this. It's like really hard for me to shut up. So tell me that one last thing, how much time does it take per day so they can fit it into their schedule? And no one can bullshit around this because I did 75 hard and we had to do 45-minute workouts a day. So, and I was waking up at 5 a.m. after that, like for an hour a day. So like, there's always time. But how much time does it take every day?
Okay, I'll give you 2 ways of thinking about it and I'll go really, really fast. So the first thing is if you think of your brain like a jungle and you want to create a new neural pathway, step 1 is you take out a machete and you start hacking through the forest, right? If you don't come back and walk down that new neural pathway a lot, the jungle is going to immediately close back in. Meaning if your jungly brain is stress and anxiety and you're creating a path of peace, stress and anxiety will come right back in without repetition. But if in the next day you hack out more and you double the width of the road, and the next day you come back with tar and you make an actual road, and the next day you add more, pretty soon you have a 16-lane highway of peace going through your brain. Stress and anxiety can't get back in. So you are actually rewiring your brain. You are really, truly extending new dendrites out of your neurons and creating new neural pathways. So the more repetition, the better. That's what it is. It's conditioning. That having been said, a study found that 100 sessions of talk therapy resulted in an average of 33% improvement. So 600 sessions of talk therapy for 33% improvement. That's 10 years for 33% improvement. That's the beta brainwave state. Same study found 6 sessions of hypnotherapy resulted in 93% improvement. So a recording, which is generic, is going to take more than that.
Got it.
But it's still unbelievably rapid versus doing anything a beta. But if you're with a hypnotherapist, like one of our Grace Method hypno coaches, on average, 6 sessions to see 93% improvement. Obviously, if someone's looking to lose 100 pounds, that's awesome and admirable and will not happen in 6 weeks. There's no way physiologically that could ever occur.
You could cut off a limb or 2.
Yeah.
That can happen.
Right. Very much
Not very
not
comfortable.
Exactly. So things like overcoming fear of flying, think of an average of 6. For some people, it'll be 10. For some people, it'll be 2. But for things like weight loss, and there's others too, plan on a longer period of time. But regardless, no matter what you're working on, it's not 600 sessions and it's not 10 years. It's incredibly rapid.
Oh, it's so cool. Okay. I'm really motivated to just listen and do it. Okay. How do they find you if they want those sessions, or your team rather? And then how do they get the app? I'm sure it's pretty easy. Tell them where to find you.
So getgrace.com for everything. Getgrace.com for the app, getgrace.com for the private sessions, getgrace.com if you want to become a certified hypnotherapist and add this to your financial services company, because everybody needs it. There's 8 billion humans on earth who need to clean up their subconscious programming. So getgrace.com.
Outside business activity. They could totally do that. Cool. Well, thank you so much. I have a million other questions. We might have to bring you on another time, but we will say goodbye for now so I don't kill everybody. All right. Thank you so much. We'll see you next week. Bye. I actually have the link for the tag challenge, the appointment generator challenge. So instead, you can just go to femalefinancialadvisors.com and register right now so that you can get 5 quality appointments in just 5 days. Now, this is not around, you having to talk to friends and family and get all awkward. This is not about you having to spend marketing dollars online or create a whole funnel. This is going to be easy. It's simple. It happens in 5 days. If I can get you 5 quality appointments in 5 days, then you know that you can have the best year of your life, because you just need to get in front of more of the right people. We will walk through it together as we do it. So do not miss this. And if you're smart, do VIP, spend a few extra bucks, and you can actually spend time with me on Zoom where I can connect with you, get to know you, and really help you get those quality appointments so that you can grow your business. And go ahead again, register at femalefinancialadvisors.com. You'll find it all there. It's coming up very, very soon. So make sure to register, claim your spot, get in on this, get excited about it, block your calendar, because you need to spend about an hour to an hour and a half a day with me on the Thursday, Friday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, so that you can get these results. And it does work. The most appointments I think we got in those 5 days, someone, I think it was Dana, got 33 appointments. So you could be my best student and go well beyond the 5 quality appointments. Go to 10, go to 15, go to 20, and set yourself up for the best year ever. Can't wait to see you at the Tag Challenge. See you there. Thank you again for listening to Growing Your Financial Business the Woman's Way.